They say my family always went too far for Christmas. Not with the lights, not with the presents, but with the atmosphere. My sister Clara was obsessed with authenticity, hunting for that ancient, bone-deep Yuletide spirit that the modern world had forgotten. That's how she found the calendar. It wasn't some sparkling plastic or flimsy cardboard thing you get at the store. This was carved from black oak, heavy and cold to the touch. It had 24 tiny, bolted doors, each one marked with a number in tarnished brass. The moment Clara brought it home, the whole house changed. It smelled of smoke and pine needles and something else. Something sharp and metallic, like frozen blood. She'd found it at a forgotten antiques market, ecstatic over what she called its genuine folklore. Without a second thought, she hung it above the hearth, right where our stockings usually went. It looked like a tombstone in the middle of our holiday cheer. We should have known something was wrong from the start. But it was Christmas, and we were determined to be festive. The 1st of December arrived, and Clara, giddy with excitement, went to open the first door. We all gathered around, expecting a tiny chocolate or a miniature ornament. But when the little brass bolt clicked open, there was nothing inside. Not a trinket, just a sliver of darkness, a pocket of absolute black. As soon as the door swung open, the warmth in the room seemed to just vanish. The fire in the hearth crackled nervously, the flames pulling back into the grate as if they were afraid. That night, the house felt watched. Every shadow seemed to defiant, too eager to stretch and move when you weren't looking directly at it. I kept catching movement out of the corner of my eye, but whenever I turned, there was nothing there. It was just the beginning. We tried to brush it off. It was an old, weird calendar, that's all. On December 5th, it was my father's turn. He was a practical man, not one for superstitions. He unlatched the 5th door with a dismissive little smile. Inside, there was just a clump of dry, brittle moss. He laughed it off, calling it rustic charm, but the moss didn't matter. What mattered was the sound that followed, just moments after he closed the tiny door. It started outside, a distant, deep thudding. It was rhythmic and slow, like a single, heavy hoof striking frozen earth, over and over again, out there in the dead of the night. We all went still, listening. It was far away, but it was unmistakable. Dad checked the locks, peering out into the snow-covered yard, but saw nothing. The thudding eventually stopped, leaving behind a silence that felt heavier than the sound itself. We tried so hard to ignore it. We doubled down on the cheer. My mother put on carols. We drank mulled wine. We decorated the tree with extra tinsel. But the music sounded brittle, like glass about to shatter. The air in the house kept getting thinner, colder, and the thudding, it didn't go away. Some nights we wouldn't hear it, and a sliver of relief would settle in, only to be shattered the next night when it returned, a little louder, a little closer. It felt like it was circling the house, pacing just beyond the line of the trees at the edge of our property. December 12th was my turn. My hand trembled as I reached for the little brass number. I don't know what I was expecting, maybe another strange object, or another blast of cold air. I opened the door. There was nothing, not even darkness this time, just a deep, silent void that seemed to suck the very sound out of the room. When I peered inside, it felt like I was looking into infinity. That night, the silence became the worst sound of all. It was an absence, an unnatural hush that swallowed the normal sounds of the house. The creaking of the old wood, the sigh of the wind outside, it all just stopped. We couldn't hear the wind anymore, only the profound, suffocating quiet. It was like the house was holding its breath, waiting. And in that silence, the slow, rhythmic thud of the single hoof felt impossibly loud, impossibly close. It was in our yard now. By the 3rd week of December, the joy was gone. We were just going through the motions, our smiles strained, our laughter hollow. The cold wasn't just in the air anymore, it was inside us. On December 19th, it was my mother's turn. Her face was pale as she opened the tiny door. Inside, there was a single, shriveled cranberry, looking like a drop of dried blood. As her fingertip brushed against it, a wave of impossible cold pulsed through the room. Every single pane of glass in the house frosted over instantly, the ice spreading in beautiful, terrifying patterns. The windows became opaque mirrors of frost, and in the sudden reflection on the living room window, we saw it. It was only for a second, a distorted image in the ice. It was tall, impossibly thin, moving among the trees. It wasn't Krampus. It wasn't some storybook monster. This was older, hungrier, an ancient thing that Christmas lore was created to appease, not to celebrate. That was the breaking point. We had to get rid of it. My father grabbed the calendar from the wall. It felt colder than ice, he said later. Burning his hands, he threw it into the roaring hearth. We watched, desperate, as the flames licked at the black oak, but the fire recoiled. It spat sparks of blue, icy cold fire that died before they even hit the floor. The wood didn't char. It didn't even smoke. The brass numbers just glowed with a dull, malevolent red, and the bolted door for December 24th seemed to rattle, just for a moment, with a horrible, eager anticipation. The calendar was not just an object, it was a gateway, and we had been opening it, day by day. By December 23rd, we were huddled in the attic. We dragged every blanket we owned up there, wrapped around us, shivering. The thermostat downstairs said the house was a normal temperature, but it didn't matter. The cold was psychological, a deep, penetrating chill that pressed on our bones and froze our souls. We could hear it downstairs now. It wasn't outside anymore. A slow, heavy shuffling echoed through the house below. It wasn't trying to break in. It was already in. It had been invited, piece by piece, day by day. It was just waiting for the final invitation. That's when Clara started weeping, the terrible realization dawning on her. She remembered the rest of the folklore she dismissed as quaint. The calendar didn't count down to Christmas Day. It counted down to the moment the old hunter was fully materialized, brought forth by the repeated act of opening the doors, of acknowledging the ancient dread with each passing day. The calendar was a ritual of summoning, not a seasonal treat. And we had performed it perfectly. Midnight on December 24th approached. The whole house groaned around us, the wooden frame straining as if under an immense weight. Downstairs, the brass number 24 on the final door began to pulse with a deep, internal light, casting a sickly red glow across the living room. "It has to be shut," my father whispered, his voice trembling, tears freezing on his cheeks in the unnatural cold. "We have to end the ritual. We can't let it open." But we all knew it was too late. We were paralyzed by a fear so absolute it felt like a physical force holding us down. I peered through a crack in the attic floor. I could see the calendar, shining below us, beckoning. The final door wasn't locked, it was waiting. And the entity was standing right beside it now. It was a looming column of shadow and horn, a shape that defied geometry, emanating a stench of deep frost and ancient rot. It didn't move towards us. It didn't seem to notice us at all. It simply turned its head a vast darkness, where a face should be unfixated on the calendar. Then, the door to the 24th chamber swung open. It moved slowly, deliberately, all by itself. What was inside? There was nothing, just the vast, empty space. But when the door opened fully, the air in the house didn't rush out. It roared into existence, becoming heavy, suffocating, crushing. The thing didn't move, it just inhaled. And in that one, silent, cosmic breath, we were gone. Not killed, not broken. We were absorbed. We weren't a meal. We were the essence of a forgotten Christmas. The true gift of the Yule calendar was to feed the dark half of the season, to give the void its due. I am still here, somehow, a voice without a body. An echo trapped in the chilling silence of this house. The calendar remains on the wall, waiting for another unsuspecting family to find it, to cherish its authenticity, and to begin the countdown once more. The brass numbers have already reset, gleaming innocently above the hearth. The only difference is the small, new etching carved into the wood below them. December 1st. It is truly a silent night now. And silence, I've learned, is just the sound of the void breathing. Thanks for listening. Stay safe this holiday season.